Now I shall show you a program in Java that will calculate the simple interest amount based on the value of principal, rate of interest and time entered by the user. Now here is the design of the form. The user has to supply the value of the principal, the rate of interest and the time in these three text fields, and then click on this calculate button to generate the simple interest amount, which shall be displayed on this particular text field. Now double clicking on this calculate button will take me to this particular method, that is JButton1 action performed method. And inside the body of this method I have to put this piece of Java code. Once this piece of Java code gets executed, the simple interest amount gets calculated based on the value of principal, rate of interest and time supplied by the user. The value of principal shall be supplied on this particular text field by the user. The value of rate of interest shall be supplied on this particular text field by the user, and the value of time shall be supplied in this particular text field by the user. Then the values gets extracted from the text fields using the getText method and then stored in the respective variables, which are principal, rate of interest and time. Once these variables possesses the values extracted out of these text fields, the simple interest amount can be easily calculated using the formula principal into rate of interest into time divided by 100, like this. And then the calculated amount gets stored in the fourth text field using the setText method. Okay, the calculated simple interest amount gets stored into this particular text field, that is the fourth text field, using the setText method. So once this statement gets executed, the calculated simple interest amount gets displayed in this particular text field. Okay, this is the fourth text field. Now this entire piece of code is kept within the try block. This is because if the compiler detects any error while processing each of these Java statements inside this try block, the particular error shall be handled in this catch block. This is the statement inside the catch block that will handle that particular error, and it will display the root cause of the error to the user. Now look at this particular form. The user has supplied 1000 as the value for principal in the first text field, 10 as the value for rate of interest in the second text field, 10 as the value for time in the third text field, and then he has clicked on this calculate button. And once he did that, the simple interest amount has been calculated using this formula, that is amount equal to principal into rate of interest into time divided by 100. Now that the value for principal is 1000, rate of interest is 10 and again time is 10, so 1000 into 10 divided by 100 gives the simple interest amount as 1000, and that particular value of amount, which is 1000, has been converted into string using the toString method of the float class, and then it is stored into the fourth text field using this setText method. That's why the simple interest amount shows the value 1000.0 in this fourth text field. And this all happens on the click of this calculate button, which acts as an event. And once the job is done, you can hit this cancel button to close this form. Now clicking on this cancel button will bring you to this particular method, that is J button to action performed. Now inside the body of this method you have to put this particular Java statement to close the form. This statement uses the exit method belonging to the system class. The number 0 here indicates a successful exit. So once this statement gets executed, on the click of this cancel button, the form will close immediately. Now let me show this to you practically. At first, let me double click on this calculate button. And that brings me to J button 1 action performed method. So this is the body of the J button 1 action performed method, and just after the commented line, which is to do add your handling code here, I shall put this particular Java code. So let me first copy it and then paste it here. Now see here, the value extracted out of the first text field, that is jtext field 1, using the getText method has to be converted into the float type using the parseFloat method of the float class, and then only it can be stored onto this variable called principal. This is because this variable principal has already been declared as float data type at the beginning. Now since any content inside a text field is string by default, so in order to store that content into this variable called principal whose data type is float, the string value out of this first text field has to be converted into the float type using this parseFloat method of the float class. Same is the case for the value extracted out of this second text field, which is jtext field 2, and the third text field, which is jtext field 3. The extracted values out of these text fields are string by default, so they are first converted into the floating point type using the parseFloat method of the float class, okay, and then only they are stored into the respective variables, which are rate of interest and time. As just like principal, rate of interest and time has also been declared of data type float, and then the simple interest amount has been calculated based on the values of principal, rate of interest and time supplied by the user. Now since each of these variables, that is principal, rate of interest and time, has been declared of float data type, okay, then the resultant simple interest amount should also be of float data type. That's why this particular variable, which is amount, has been declared of data type float along with principal, rate of interest and time. Once the simple interest amount gets calculated using this expression, okay, it is then stored into the fourth text field using the setText method. But now the text field will accept only string content. It will not accept floating point data. But our simple interest amount is a floating point data, okay, because it has been declared of data type float, okay. So before it gets stored into the fourth text field, okay, this simple interest amount has to be first converted into the string type using the toString method, okay, of the float class, okay, and this is represented as float.toString, okay. That means we are converting the data type of this variable called amount, okay, from float to string, and this is done using this toString method. And once this simple interest amount gets converted into the string format, it can be easily stored into this fourth text field, okay, that is jtext field 4, using this setText method. Now note the difference between set text and get text. The get text method is used for extracting the value out of a text field, whereas the set text method is used for storing the value into a text field. Now let me run this program by clicking on this run button. Now let me supply the value of principal as 1000, rate of interest as 10 and time as 10, and then let me click on this calculate button, which shall act as an event to display the simple interest amount, which is 1000.0 in this fourth text field. And that explains how this simple interest amount 1000 has been calculated. Now let me double click on this cancel button, and on doing that it will bring me to this particular method, that is J button to action performed. Now inside the body of this method, below this commented line, I shall put the Java statement system.exit0. So here this exit method belonging to this system class shall exit our form, and that shall happen on the click of this cancel button, okay, which is J button 2. Now let me click the run button to show you. Okay, here is the run button. Let me click on it. Now I shall click on this cancel button to check whether this form gets closed or not. Okay, let me click on this cancel button now. So here it is. On the click of that cancel button, the form immediately disappears. So that was the logic about the Java program that uses this form to calculate the simple interest amount based on the values of principal, rate of interest and time supplied by the user in these text fields. Okay, so I hope this is clear, and with this I end my presentation here and the chapter.